happening. Right, we're good. I might get some joiners on this. And what else I need to get on of? My assessment schedule for computing. My screen turned on. Right, where's everyone gone? Hey, what, drama?
2:30. So they're going to come in.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Okay. In the meantime, you know, programming fundamentals. On your schedule, you've actually got end of March for this one. So we're going to get like the clappers on this one actually quite quickly. So we're just I'm gonna keep it under review, because this is also something where when it's during an Easter at the end of the year term, I can have it during at the start of the term, but only if people promise to hand it in. Because otherwise, in April, you've not got much else doing over Easter. Only thing is, over Easter, you can't get much help apart from when I come in. I do come in for 1 week over Easter usually. Yeah, when I'm around. So let's just see how it goes. I think is the best way of looking at this stuff. I just keep an eye on your progress. Now on Moodle, so I know how you're doing. On the computing, I go to my programming section in here. I look in my level 3 and I see what have I got. I've got my tasks in there. I've got a task in there for task 1, is it? Yeah. Task 1 upload area, which was the little one, the first one we did. And I've got like 1 in there. Something isn't right, is it? Something's going fishy with that. Yeah, I think you're right. Is that one? This one here, yeah. I was duplicates appearing in this. I've got 5 in there. No, I really do think more than 5 people did this task. Taylor, you did number 1, didn't you? Task 1. She's uploaded. Oh, you did do it. I saw you do it. And then Suni, you did task 1. You did it already, and 2. Yeah. Let's quickly check out. So Suni, you did 1 and 2 done. You? Not done 2. Taylor. 125 matrix numbers. 125. 2 by 2 grid. Done that one. You didn't done. Scott, 2 by 2. Scott, task 1, task 2, programming. Task 1, programming.
Task 1's done.
Task 2 is that matrix. 1 to 25, 5 by 5 grid. Echo out. Not started yet. Okay. Over here, Maths.
Yes.
What are you doing?
With,
What are you doing right now?
I'm doing project.
Why? In programming.
Okay.
You're using every last second you've got.
Yes.
Well, I technically can allow you to keep chatting to think about that. Carry on. Sean, 1 and 2.
Yeah, I'm not They're not there.
Okay. Probably some little recap on 2 needed. Today I can give a little recap on that.
No, I lied to you. I can't see task 1.
Link.
Can't see a link though.
Okay. I'll structure those things again. Okay. It's halfway up the programming fundamentals thing.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it might be on there.
Right, folks. I'm now going to talk to you about code construction. Okay. So when you stop chatting, we'll begin that. Get my lesson plan up for you to do what we're going to be doing today. Drive, access to programming. Oh my god. Okay, officially, where are we at? Quality week. Programming lesson. Okay, everyone. So I want to talk about how we actually construct programs and approach programming in general. There's more of a general subject, say, to start with, and I'm going to sort of zoom in on task 3 and how we approach that with using something called pseudo code. Okay. So let's talk about some of the principles of programming again, some of the early basic principles. A program effectively, if I define it in the simplest form, has an input. Okay, so you take something in, process, and then output. Okay, that's the real fundamental part of programming. If you think of it in the simplest way, input, process, output. Start from that, okay? and then break things down in a more visual way to start off with. Because someone was saying to me the other day, oh, programming, not something I'm naturally good at. Okay, which I can understand why people say it. Some people say, oh yeah, I am naturally, they kind of get it. It's this way of thinking, isn't it? It's like a logical way of thinking. But actually, if we try and do things visually, then those who feel that they can't program because of the logical brain can look at things in a different way, look at it visually instead. I think you start to look at things in this icon or flow chart method instead, so you can see how data flows. That's one way of looking at how logic works. So to start with, we're going to look at something called pseudocode and understand what pseudocode is actually about. Okay, and how we can use pseudocode then to create programming code from it. Pseudocode and what we call data flow diagrams are very generic things. Yeah, they work across all programming languages. So if I use pseudocode for a generic situation of some sort, I also can apply that to any programming language, bearing in mind I know the syntax and the rules for it. Okay, so how we actually develop the idea of pseudocoding and the concepts behind it. Okay, what's prior knowledge to this is you've been looking already at constants and variables. We did arrays. We also did functions to some extent previously. Okay, and I'm going to ask you to take a look at pseudocoding as just to find some examples of pseudocode and also try one out on a particular scenario. So what I'd like you to do to start with is to help me collect a good definition of pseudocode and bring one back to me, okay? We're going to approach this from a different perspective. So if I say Suni and Abe, you two, right? You two there. Sean, as you're on your own, you maybe join Taylor and Rama, yeah, over there. Yeah, just maybe sit next to Rama over there. There's the three of you. Okay, I want you to do some examples. I want you to find me a couple of things I'm going to put on the screen, okay? Okay.
So the code is
We'll start from more first principles here. I want to get right to the very beginning principles of what pseudocode is about. Okay? What's that, Scott? What's that, Scott? Sorry.
I just want to get the stuff done that I haven't done before I move on.
We're not moving on. You need to understand this before you can do anything.
Task free, isn't it?
This is not to do with any task. This is more fundamental. Having looked at your code so far, the problems you're coming across, I think this is a root issue you've got, yeah? So I want to tackle this first, so you get this. And from this, you're going to be able to do stuff much more efficiently. All right? There's underpinning every task plus the next module called database-driven web pages next term. Okay, so these are the four things. Okay, here. Right, I want you to look at. So this is what you look at in your groups. What is pseudocode? Why is it useful? Okay, quite an example of pseudocode, a small fragment of one. There'll be some examples out there. Don't get one that's like pages and pages and pages. Okay. Number three, what visual ways can you represent pseudocode in? The ways of visualizing it, and some sort of hints here, flow diagrams. Okay, it's a hint. Okay, and then once you've done 1, 2, and 3, I will set you an example of pseudocode. Okay, and I want you then to pseudocode it first. Then we're going to see how pseudocode translates into PHP code. Okay, how code is constructed from the very outset. Yeah? Okay. So I'll give you, say, 10 minutes to work on this to begin with, okay? So let me check in with you in 10 minutes. Begin. Right one. There we go. Okay, what we got so far? Some definitions coming in. That definition mass. That's actually not a definition. There's some examples of it. Flow chart. This, that's not a definition either yet.
Example.
Example. Yeah, I need a definition, please. Definition, anybody? Can you read it out if you can, dude? I can see it. What is pseudocode? What does it mean?
It's a way of structuring what you want to program without having to use like a rigid syntax.
Great. Loosely defined, how a way of structuring a program. You hear that, guys? Guys, did you catch that? So this is quite fundamental to get clear in our minds, this, because this applies to everything you're in programming in the future, degree, master's, PhD, whatever else, right? So loosely structured structure of a program, not with syntax or programming specifically, just very general. Anything else to add to that definition that you might have come across, that you might have seen? Sean, Rama, please, anything further to that?
I'll give reference. Code is a legible way of writing code in English using short phrases which substitute the order in which to execute a program.
Very good. It's okay, we can just rewind and do a 50% frame on that one. Right, let me catch it. Run it by again, yeah. So a legible way.
Yeah. Of writing code.
So firstly, it's using English language rather than anything too syntactical. Cool. Yeah, and sequence.
Short phrases which tell the computer order in which to execute.
Okay. So the key is the order and sequence, right? So the first thing about programming we really need to understand in PHP is sequential. The concept of sequential. When things are done in order, that's a very different approach, right? When we program in visual programming. See why this is important. Let's pick an example out in the class. Scott, random one for you, yeah? Making a cup of tea. What's the step-by-step approach to doing that? Oh, really? Straight away? Has the kettle got water in it? So we're putting apart logic on this now, because when we look at logic to program a kettle. Let's think about it again and just slow us down. How do we make a cup of tea? With. Okay, and what if it's already full? What if the kettle's so then you start seeing these different things pulling out of it, yeah? So when we take anything and we look at the logical sequencing of it, it really requires a lot of focus on that particular thing. We just want to think, all right, boil the kettle is the first thing I think of, but then we think, what are these other parameters around? Codo is visual programming. Codo is very, yeah. Codo is very close to pseudocode, yeah, and because the Codo's programming environment is very pseudocode led, actually. But other like PHP is not so much, as you can see. You got to think. Visual and pseudo are pretty close. Yeah. Syntax is always a separate matter. Like the actual thinking, the way of thinking is what I'm trying to address here. Is the way we approach the thinking process on any issue. So you said boil a kettle. Okay, there are other parameters here. So when I put water in the kettle, then what happens? Okay, so water's now in the kettle. Okay, if it's not already on, yeah, exactly. If it's not another parameter, so I'm now going to boil the kettle. What are the parameters there, and also the constants now involved with the kettle being boiled? How does the kettle know when it's time to turn it off? How does the kettle itself know? Yeah. So constants and parameters here. What's a constant that we know? Yeah. Okay. So when the temperature gets to a certain point, what might we call that in programming? That concept. When it gets to a certain place. Yeah. So we call that a condition. Yes. It's called a condition. So if temperature equals 100 degrees Celsius, then stop. Yeah. Else, keep boiling. Right. And then within that, those constructs and within those subconstructs, you can code everything else inside. You can make it extremely sophisticated. but also very easy. So it's like there's levels of it, yeah? There's a top level of it, input, process, output. Input is of a kettle. What's the input of a kettle? Yeah, what's going into the kettle? Water. What's coming out of the kettle? And yeah, boiled water. Cold water in, boiled water out. The process, therefore, is the boiling. Okay, what's actually making the boiling happen? That temperature raise, the condition. So think of it just like a simple diagram: a line in, a circle, and a line out. Yeah. Input are all the variables you're starting with, and output are all the variables at the end result. Okay, and the circle in the middle. Okay, that circle. Okay, is really about the process and the programming lines that make that thing happen. So some examples of code. So Mass, what have you put on here?
Like step by step understanding.
You put something in here. What is this? This thing?
What it is.
That's an example. Is this an example of it here?
Yeah.
So we've got student grade greater than or equal to 60. Print passed, else print failed. That's pretty cool, simple pseudocode.
Yeah.
In a,
Pretty simple.
one simple, that counts as pseudocode. It's written in English. Yeah. So with vocabulary, what vocabulary would you use to make pseudocode? What's the kind of like lexicon for it? So an example of it, you put one here. These are the kind of things that happen. Input, output. What is output in PHP? How do you do output? Echo, yeah, right, okay. And these are the different loops: while, for, repeat until.
Isn't while do in PHP?
Yeah, that's right. While's PHP, for is in PHP. We don't call it repeat, but we call it do while.
So repeat.
Yeah, that's like do while. Yeah. So you do something until something, a loop that has a condition at the end. Do this while condition. That's how that particular one works. If then else. Okay, this one here is a decision in which a choice is made. So if condition, then do this, else do that. If water, if water equals boiled, then stop kettle, else keep boiling.
With other else's.
That's called an if, then else if.
Yeah.
Yeah. If then else if is different. You have if else if. Yeah.
Else if.
Or there's something called a switch statement, which is a different approach. Yeah, switch is different. That's more like a case. If something is, for example, traffic light. If something is red, then do this. Blue, do that. Green, do that. Many conditions like this. Yeah.
And it's all within that.
One programming construct. Switch, very useful. Like programming languages, like for gaming, is great. For example, like if you press the 8 key, does that. There's 2 key, 6 key, 4 key. Like
Switch,
so switch can do that sort of thing. And it's like it's waiting for a response from the input.
Switch, basically, like.
Yeah, an input. Correct. So that's the switch concept. So output is echo. How might you do input in PHP? How do you get stuff into PHP?
You use
It's a simple fundamental thing here again. A user will be inputting something, it says here. User inputting something.
start by 4 or
Kind of elaborate. I mean, I'm trying to think about how in PHP I get something inside the program. Let's see, how do I get input into the program, which is out? A bit like that. We're going to elaborating that for a variable. Chucking something into a variable is how I get input, right? And that variable is then what changes by the program, and then by the output, the variables become something else. That's usually what happens. And we take an input in PHP from the user. Normally, unless you programmed it in the code, it's by forms. We fill out a form, right, on PHP. A form is filled out. We send it into something, and the result comes out the other end of it. That's how web pages tend to do programming. Okay, so these are some examples of the language you could use there. There's also another way we can do it is visually. So here, this is quite a sophisticated one. What's going on here then? All right. Whoa, hey. So here's an example that Abby's put up here. So Abe's got up here, write a program flowchart to prepare tuition bill. Student name, social number, number of credits. The bill will contain the student name, number, and tuition fee. 10 credits or more makes it a full-time. $1,000 for tuition. Less than 10 credits is part-time. Part-time is $100 per credit for tuition, okay? So when you're given a programming problem like this, okay, you're asked to create often a flow chart first, yeah, and then the flow chart is then what you create the code out of, okay? So like you do is just, it's gonna be a bit of a thinking time now. It's gonna be quite hard. You already have the answer to that, because you're all right. You found this, yeah? It's actually already in WhatsApp. So what we're going to do is first create the flow chart for this situation, okay? Very simple flow chart, okay? And then the pseudo code based on that. The flow chart is provided already in WhatsApp. You have an example of it up there so you can see how it's been done. So I think given that's already available to all of you, try and create this in pseudo code now, okay? This particular problem here, okay? Simply in just lines of code using the language provided here. Yeah, this is the kind of example of the language. It's input, output, while, for, repeat, until, if, then, else at the bottom there. And here's your flow chart, which will help you do this. Oh, sorry, it's given that as well. I didn't see that. You're right, pseudo code is also provided. Bad example, forget that. Yeah, it's already given here, look, it's already here. Let's look at it together. So you start your program, you read in name, SSN credits, okay? Credits, 10, yes or no, greater than. If yes, tuition's 1,000. If no, tuition equals 100 times the credits that were inputted up here. Yeah. Say there was like 3 credits this particular course. So if it was 3, it would go down the no inquiry route. Down here, 100 times 3. Go down this way. Right is the output. Right, name, SSN, tuition. Notice how tuition's been calculated based on that and that. Yeah. See if we're going to go this route or that route, depending on no or else. No or yes. So then your pseudocode that follows this over here, look how this is written. It's taken from the flowchart, start, read name, SSN credits. If credits greater than 10, then tuition equals 1,000. Else, tuition equals 100 times credits. End if. And then write name, SSNC output, tuition, and then stop. Okay. Can you see how this links to this? The flow between those 3 different things, yeah? Should be quite clear. So the tricky bits when we start trying to create a simple flowchart, but there's no one way of doing this. Okay, you're going to do it all in your own ways of approaching this kind of situation. Okay. So this example here, the scenario, what I'm going to show you is the actual task 3 assignment, okay, which is a little bit complex. Okay, just only going to give you the brief of it. I'll ask you, how might you approach this as a flow chart and then also a pseudocode first? Okay, I want to give you some hints. Okay, doesn't mean you're going to kick off with this task right away, because I want to mock up some task 2 stuff. I want to just see if you can approach this as a problem, which is a problem of interpreting the text, the problem I give you, making a flow chart of it, writing the pseudocode, and then coding it afterwards. So we've got practice for the whole loop. So task 3 looks like this. It's called grade assessor. I'm going to give you some explanation of it also, really, here. I'll give you a verbal explanation of this. Let's write it up. Give me just a couple of minutes while I make the English version of this. Just sort that out quickly. I'll be on the screen in a second. Okay. Mhm. Process uses okay, I think. Okay, pseudo code. Start syntax. Or is that possible syntax stuff there? I quite like this one actually. At the edge. Patches. Pseudo. All right, so here it is. I'll probably get a printout of this actually. If you print out this, what you kind of have this as a hard copy. I mean, we got today 7 people. Get your printout of that as an activity you can work on. Print 8 copies of that. There's the task now on screen. So that's the program I've written there. Okay. So your program is to do that. First task is to draw it as a flow diagram, or to think input, process, output in terms of the key fundamentals, and work this into pseudocode below. You do it your own way. Okay, there's no one answer on pseudocode. You write it in your way and how it makes sense to you. Okay, that's the first stage of it. We're going to get the print out of this. I'll allow you, I think, to do this task in both flow and pseudocode for about 15 minutes. Do both of these. So around about 4:20, 4:25 time. Yeah, around that sort of time. I'll look at people's work individually, okay, and then talk to you about where you're at right now in your programming task that you're on at the moment. You're probably on task 2 or task 3, okay. This actually is task 3. Yeah, part before the challenge is the easy part of task 3. What's involved with it? So you can sort of think it through. I'd like you to approach it in diagram, flow charts, whatever kind of planning you can do first. Pseudo coding, and the pseudocode, and then we'll look at the PHP after that. Okay, we're not going to dive straight into coding this thing this time. You get the hard copies, I'll be right back.
We have to go.
I thought he was there too. I thought he was around, but he's not. time you guys can try and think about it. But yeah, so about 10 minutes. I'll take this to Taylor. Okay, folks, there you go. It's activity. Do this. So can we do a flow diagram first, and then pseudo code it, and then we'll look at how the code is changed. That's got password to see. Wrap web. 2000. Yeah, where did you leave off then? You saying you did the end of the I wrapped 2018 by itself, right?
The password is wrap web.
Oh, right. Whoa.
Wrap web 2018. That's what you are.
Yeah.
Your name is
Scott Nash. Very nice if I can reset. I'll come over here. I'll get you sorted out. To be sorted out. Yeah, something's up with this. All right. Right, get into control panel. So just resume that. So let's bring this back. Has Chantal given me the pen? Oh, I think I've got the board actually. I can maybe write on the screen if it lets me. Active board, software, Inspire. Oh, look at this. Let's just cancel that. I think Zoom will let me record this, so a bit of luck. Share screen. Active Inspire. This works. Right, what have we got so far? What different approaches I've seen so far? Let's start with the very beginning. I mentioned to you all, start with my input, okay, and my process, and then the output. This is generally the fundamentals of any program. Okay, so we're going to work with just with this idea to begin with. Right, what's happening here? So input, what are we bringing in? Grade, yeah? I didn't say the word grade, but I'm trying to just get the idea of just bringing in 5 numbers, okay, percentages really. Just 5 percentages as values into it. Not any issues around the percentage and limitation.
They're not above 100, they're not below.
Okay, so a few things about it are. So if I make a simple, if I start just like this is a diagram, you can do the same thing to get any program to attack and approach. Fill your bubbles, separate it out, okay? So all my kind of variables, the input, I'm going to get 5 grades, read 5 grades in. Okay, the grades must be in between greater than 0, less than 100. Yeah. Okay, what's the output going to be? I'm doing this in order for a very good reason. Input first, read the grades in, check the 0 to 100 and evaluate them. Okay, like that. Output, just the average of the class, but just the average out, nothing else. That's your output. So when you're writing this in pseudocode, you're just saying that input, read in 5 grades. Yeah. You can write an evaluation. Grade to be less than in maths. Grade less than greater than 0 and less than 100. Simple little check there. Okay. And then you can put your output at the bottom there. Output, print average. Yeah. Print out average. And the bit in the middle, the process, which is the kind of calculation here, this process. What's involved here? Again, you go back to the mathematics. Yeah, the maths. What's the maths wrong? For an average. You know this. So you add the number up and divide by the number of subjects. Okay, good. So we can sum all the grades. Yeah. Doesn't matter how many brackets, doesn't matter how I write it, do it your way. Divided by number of grades. Okay. Now, if I wrote the value 5 here, rather than number of grades, how would that limit the program in the future?
In the future, we know more than 5 grades.
Okay.
Will it work out?
So if I scale up my program to be like, I'll say world class, right? If I just say like, bigger, college here has, a student could do like, you access computing students, you've got like 15 different subjects at least. Yeah. And maybe another student at university does like, you do like 240 credits we get over 2 years. Okay. So many more grades. If I make this into a variable, okay, that's a variable rather than a hard number, much more efficient and effective. If I scale my program up, it means that can work in any scenarios. Remember, as we code, whenever you see a really hard number like a 5, or even the other examples in a minute, you'll see any kind of hard code is a problem. Try and always not hard code, use variables. That way you can extend your program in the future. And when I'm marking your work, I'm looking for things like using functions and how you take out these fixed values to make your program extendable. Okay? The higher grade student will think about, where am I going to do this program tomorrow? Or how can I change this program in the future to suit another situation? There are 2 more examples of hard coding here. Okay? Okay, and maybe more. Well, where are they? What variables can I use for those instead? Look on this. Where else is things hard coded? Another example of it. Let's see it fairly easy. What's my hard coded? That's like a number.
The range of the output.
Okay, great. This here, 2 more examples of hard coding. Better name for those? Look at all that. Yeah, min and max, right? And why would that be useful? Because if, for example, it wasn't between 0 and 100, yeah, suddenly it's like I'm making this actually about access, accumulation of credits. Yeah, I know you've got to get between 0 to 60 credits, and then you've passed the course. Yeah, and that's my real factor. I'm looking at, right, are you getting 0 to 60? What's the average number of credits a student is getting? I'm thinking in a different way. Yeah, maybe the minimum is you can never get more than a minimum of 15 because that's you always get 15 to start with, regardless. Yeah. So actually, that's entirely different to my fixed values, but my program that I've created for this company, this college, which only has percentages up to 6th form, I can sell the same code to a college that does credits. Yeah. Okay. And let's choose another type of grading. You guys have pass merit distinction, right, on your units. At the moment, this is just values at the moment. In the code challenge on this particular task, is a grade thing too. I ask you to find a grading criteria, not only return me the percentage value of, say it was 60%, but also give me back the grade also. Yeah. I don't mind what grading boundaries you use. You use university, you use BTECs, you know, pass merit, you use access, you use raw percentages, you use IELTS scale like 0 to 6, yeah? IELTS is like 0 to 7. I don't mind what you use, but you can show me, you can make a flexible program that can return that back in any kind of form approach. That's a more sophisticated coding model. So you build things up in blocks. The first part of task 3 is simply, can you get me back an average? 5 grades, that's all. Yeah. I want you to input 5 grades in, do some calculations, and return back an average. Yeah. So you're going to have to kind of use what you've done already in the first task. Yeah. I bet your second task and some other stuff I'm going to be teaching you in the next couple of weeks. Make task 3. When you finish that, I want you to do the code challenge, which is then to get me back a grade descriptor, get rid of all these little fixed values like this, replace it with variables and functions. Okay? So we're going to spend a bit of time on the task for that week. It's going to be at least probably, I would say we're going to be doing it for at least 3 weeks. Yeah? It's slow, progressively, but make the program more clever in one go. What we call it that, yeah? That's the best way we can approach it. So that is the way we've sort of drawn this out. Now, if I'm pseudo coding this, like I said, what I'm doing is taking my diagram, all the scribbles over it, and just writing it as lines of code. And I've seen all your work so far, okay, and I'll just show you some examples of it. Number 1. So here's the first one. I don't know if you can see it or not. Woohoo! Lighting is lighting is terrible in here. Let's maximize this to the big screen. Come on. Can I max this up? That's as big as it gets, you know, because of the camera quality. Can you see that at all? That's just so bad. I mean, you can probably see it on the screen, I guess, a bit. So you get the first one there, and that is like a little flow chart. The top is the start. The second box is read grades. I don't think I'm zooming in on it. I'm bad, man. Read grades, and you've got grade 0 or 100, and if it's a yes, grades divided by 5, and if it's a no, error, and then it goes on a final answer. Nice, right? How could we enhance this diagram? What's missing? read grades,
Yeah, variables.
variables. Yeah,
Ins-
and
instead
good.
of the 5.
5. That's the problem. Let's see 5 there. That's it.
And then
Right.
changing the range of 0 to 100
Actually
to
better.
min
Min
and
max, right? And what else is also missing from here? How many times are we going to loop around this thing? Because we've got to loop this, haven't we? Till all the grades are in, we haven't finished, right?
Right.
So another condition is, are all the grades actually in?
Okay.
You know, if it's expecting, like at the very outset, you might say, how many grades do you want to collect in? Is it 5 or what is that variable? Is it X is 5 or is it 10 grades? And then only when it's got 5 grades can it actually do the calculation. Even if there's one of the grades is 0, it's all right, yeah? But it's got to actually have 5 entries in of a grade. If I haven't only entered like 2 and I'm not bothered on 3, then it's actually an error. It can't proceed this program, all right? Good. Have diagrams?
So
Sorry?
what we're saying is we're going to have another diamond again.
Yes, another kind of condition needs to be there to ask why, you know,
Yeah.
how many grades are in, etc. Let's start diagram sharing with some Pseudo Code. I put on the camera. Anyone else got something to share? Are they happy and proud of? No. Right. So let's show you the actual program itself now. Stop the video. So back on this here. I'm going to go up to now the actual program code itself. Let's stop the share. Share screen, desktop, programming task. So your task I've given you is we're going to touch on these different grading criteria here. Write a program that calculates the results from expressions using the basic mathematical functions. Add, subtract, divide, and multiply. Use a range of selection commands to control the program flow. Write a program that uses operators as a part of a selection statement. That will mean make no sense whatsoever to you yet. Okay, so what you should be doing is creating a project called Assess Grades. Here's your pseudocode I provided you as a hint. Okay, I ask you to make a meaningful kind of menu system, introductory message. Read in those grades. I say 5 to start with, okay? In 5 separate boxes on the HTML form, 1 grade per line. Unless you get all the 5 values in correctly, it's not going to be happy with this, okay? But you can start out without having that control to begin with, just taking the 5 values. Use a loop to control the flow. Check the grades are correct, yeah? This is my version of doing it. I don't mind how you approach this, as long as you meet what I'm asking you to do from this, yeah? You can do it any way you want. I'm asking you to create a function as well to read the grades in. Okay, once you've done that, calculate the grade, display the result with a suitable message. Later on, there's a code challenge, where what I'd like you to do is not only input the grade, okay, but also give back the user the percentages they put in, come back with the actual grades they've got in those subjects, and then the average grade too. Oh, nice. Right, okay, so the average grade 2, that can be either A, B, C, D, E, or DMP fail. I don't mind, just research some grade boundaries. The more flexibility you can put in, the better, you know. You can be quite clever about how you give some flexibility here for the admin of the program to manage it.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Are we going to need an interactive console for this?
Only PHP forms,
Right.
a form in
So how are we
PHP, a
gonna
web
import
form.
data?
I've not shown you forms yet.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm not showing you forms yet at all, right? So you'll be learning about how you make a form in PHP and how you work with that. That's really how you get data in. Yeah. So what I'm looking at now is, okay, for the next 20 minutes is simply those who've done task 2, right? You've done it.
Yeah.
Done it. So you're working on your next task, task 2. What I'd like you to do with task 2 is go back to the basics and read that pseudocode I gave you and see if that makes better sense to you now. Look at it in terms of pseudocode. This task 2 is quite an easy one. It simply asks you just to work through, a matrix, multi-dimensional matrix, and then echo out the matrix. That's it, using a loop. And I showed some examples in the video last week about how that's done. Okay, about how you approach this type of task. Yeah, it's about multi-dimensional arrays is the hint. And then you echo out a multi-dimensional array variables from this. Can you go back on the basics and I'll help you if you get stuck, yeah? So that's you. You're on 2, right? Suni,
no, I'm starting to.
you're starting 3 now. So you think you can start 3? You've not shown you forms yet. I think you could pick this up Can you maybe start to pseudo code 3 your way, and then try and start drafting what PHP code might look like? And maybe before you actually create the forms, just maybe make 5 values as variables instead. And I'll show you how forms done afterwards. Yeah, just maybe just say grade 1 equals 50, grade 2 equals, just write the values in the program. Yeah, to start with. Okay. Maths.
Yeah, I created a form in PHP already.
Good.
Sorry, in HTML.
Off the blocks. Great.
HTML.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
all the blocks in there. English, math, and
Good.
ready to input.
Good. Keep on going.
I just need the PHP code
For.
to then put in here.
So I'll give you a clue then, okay?
Yeah.
So to get the value across, I'm going to do this in class with all of you next week, right?
Okay.
So it's bigger, like everyone here. It's the way you do it is you give your form, you give your form variables a name. So when you make a form box, there's type of a form box. There's also a name you give it. Your name could be equal to grade 1, for example. Okay. You give your form all them variable names. And then when you post the form over, you post it over on the PHP script, you're going to call in the values. Okay, it's quite complex. This is if you use something called global variables. Yeah, and they're called post variables. Exactly.
When they make games, they write games and stuff.
But it's hard for me to put it in 15 minutes of time. Okay. So yeah, I can have a look. But I'd like you just to maybe think about the code. What you could do instead, is just work on the maths for now. Give it, set up 5 grade values already. Grade 1 equals 10, 20, whatever, and do the programming on it first, the maths. Get that working first. And later on, then we'll put on the form around it. Okay.
So I want to set up the values in PHP.
Yeah, just do it like hard code it. Yeah, just say these are the 5 grades. Work on that. That'll be easier. Okay, Scott, where are you at? Are you on 2 now?
Could start to.
Yeah, you could start 2. So, do you remember me teaching about multi-dimensional arrays? Okay, so I need to recap that arrays to you. Okay, no, I'll bring on the screen in a minute. Taylor.
I don't remember actually doing task 2 at all. I don't remember this. I remember task 1.
Task 1 we introduced, right? Task 2 I did arrays. I'm going to just recap arrays with you, okay? When we go over it, you'll start.
This is task 2.
No, this is, yeah, this one is. Yeah. Taylor.
I broke my phone on Monday, so I've lost all my login details.
What happened?
Oh, I sat there and missed that.
Oh, you broke the phone?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, no.
So how do I log in?
That's so frustrating. I'll help you out. I'll come and do it for you. Yeah, no worries. You're going to get a replacement?
Yeah.
Was it iPhone? Samsung?
1 plus X.
1 plus X. How solid is that phone?
It was pretty solid, but it was on its way out.
How old is it? Was it a few years old?
2, but.
Oh, man. Try and get a Samsung. They're quite robust. Gorilla Glass.
Hopefully I'll get a replacement.
S7? S7 is nice, yeah. I mean, S8 is the latest one. S9 is coming out soon, but the S7 is a robust phone. Let's say it's robust. Moe, you're doing task 3 already.
Yeah, I'm doing task 3.
Okay, you carry on with that. Rama, where are you? You're on 2. Okay, and Sean?
I can start.
So you, like Suni and Maths, should look at hard coding the grades first, and I'm bringing the form content later on next week. I'm going to talk about how forms work. Okay? Right, folks. Task 2 people. Here's some clues for you now. Ready? So what you've got to do, you have to simply display a 5x5 matrix like this and echo it out. The only caveat is, do this. Oh, sorry, Taylor, I forgot to ask you. Which task did you get to? 2 as well. Okay, so to log in, can you ask Moe how he's logging into his space on Student Rack? Yeah, he'll show you how he's doing it. Same for you. So your first username is Taylor. Your password is RackWeb 2018. The password is RackWeb 2018. Right. So how do I get this thing outputted onto a table? This is for Rama, Abe, and Sean. No, not Sean. Scott. That's you 3, isn't it? Right? Scott with me on this, yeah. So this is about arrays, really. How we get an array. What it's asking you to do is using an array to get the data and store it. Okay, a subroutine, a loop, and also format screen output as a table. That's using HTML. So remember your task 1, you made like a 3-column table, right, with math numbers in it. Okay, if I ask you to do the same thing for doing it for a table, the numbers 1 to 25, you could change your program quite easily. Yeah, the one you did in task 1, right? Scott, your task in task 1.
Yeah.
I ask you to do a 1 to 10 list of numbers, a square, root, and a cube. If I ask you to change that program to make it 25 rows of information, would that be easy to do?
Things I can't access that C level, so I can't get.
Do you try logging onto the machine?
No, I haven't.
You need to come on there. There's something wrong with that PC. It's got restrictions on it. Rama, is that okay for you now to do that? How you can change that to make it work for you? 25. How would you change it? Program. Try to remember how you did it. You don't need to change much. That's it. That's all you've got to do, right? Abe, you get that?
Yeah, how do you declare the integer array of the size?
Like that, exactly. Good question. How do I make an array like this?
Yes.
Okay. So here's my pseudocode. So for you, Scott, Rama, and Abe again, you need to use pseudocode first. Okay. And the pseudocode is to make an integer array of size 25. I'll show you shortly. Then you use a loop to go through that array. Okay, but there are not just one level of a loop, there are 2 levels of a loop. Okay, one loop is the outer of the array, and one loop is the inside of the array. Because we're going to use not an array which is 1 dimension, 25 numbers. You see here, this is a matrix. This is a 5 by 5, 2-dimensional array. This array is 2D. Some arrays can be just 1 row like that, right? But some arrays can be 2-dimensional. Arrays also can be 3-dimensional and 4th-dimensional. Yeah, which means you can make a cube of an array too. You can literally go X, Y, Z and pinpoint one value. You can even loop through a 3-dimensional array. It's wacky, but you can do that, right? So with a 2D array, simple. We've got like a little grid of information. How do I make one that I need to loop not only from that direction, but also going down as well and do the rows? So I'm going to show you one example to try yourself first, give you the hint for it, yeah? And then you can look at then how that might apply using pseudocode for this. Ready?
Is there an easy way of accessing this kind of website about what is it, student?
I think I better come over to you, and do this because it's easier. I'm going to just watch what I'm doing first and let you get started. I'll have to hack my way into it. Okay. So what I said was, Scott, is that I'm saying this is a 1-dimensional array like that, and a 2D array has both X and Y axis. Okay. And I've given you some code hints, pseudocode, how you fill the array up. Okay. I'm asking you to make an array, declare it, use a for loop to move through the array. Okay. Use a for loop to print out the first array on a line with a space between numbers, so you're going to make 1 row, and you're going to keep repeating until you get the full, every single row is done in a line, and output. The best way of doing that is to make something called a multi-dimensional array. But to do this, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to bring up my W3 Schools and show you something about how arrays are structured. So we go to PHP. We go to arrays, and we go to the array section. It says what an array is. So go back to the basics. So you remember what the array was? Folks, when I was doing this? Does it ring a bell? I was doing the arrays about cars.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a very simple array. An array is declared like this. $cars equals array. Volvo, BMW, Toyota. Okay, that's an array being made. An array is simply like a box of values, which I'm sure is neat. Did I do this in class with you guys?
Yeah.
I did, right?
Yeah.
Did someone maybe miss the class? Was this class missed by some people? It was Wednesday last week, I think it was, or Monday morning.
Oh, Monday.
Monday morning.
Yeah.
Because I covered Judy's class, you see, that week, and I switched my around. This is what might happen. Okay, that's confusing me a bit. Here's a very simple array. Yeah, Volvo, BMW, Toyota. Okay, 3 values in 1 variable. And how I get inside the values is I go $cars 0. This is a 1-dimensional array so far. Okay, so I also can do it like this. Rather than doing it that way, I can do it the slow way and write it like this instead. But that's variables. If I've got 3 variables, car 1, car 2, car 3, it's very inefficient. Much more efficiency in this than this, right? For rows of reasons, like, for example, if I want to say do a loop and I want to go through every single car, I'd rather loop through that than loop through every single variable manually, right? One at a time. So to make an array, there's a function for it, array like this. There are very different types of arrays: indexed, associative, and multidimensional. So this is more appropriate. In my example I gave you, the multidimensional array is an array containing another array inside it. It's 2D. Indexed, the different arrays are indexed. So here's an indexed array. So we have the cars. We have 3 index values there. And to actually do it manually, the same way is to do it like this. $cars, which is the same for all of them. 0, Volvo. $cars 1, BMW. $cars 2, Toyota. Okay. So the very simple code output is like you do your variable like this, and you echo out your cars values. And notice here the dot, these dots, what these dots do?
Space out.
Nope. They've got another reason. Concatenation, right? You join with a dot. Yeah, you stick things together with it. Watch this. Yeah, it's just joined it into one big set of things. But I have to use dot because I'm mixing a string with a value from a variable. If I didn't have that there at all, the dot, it would get very confused thinking, oh, you want me to print out car 0? You know what I mean? You want me to print this out? But now I'm putting a dot here, I'm breaking the code, saying come out of the string, show me the value from the variable, and then go back to the string, little comma, then go dot again, come back to the variable, dot, come back to the string, dot, come back to the variable, dot, come back to the string. That's why it looks like this. See, we've got a full stop at the end of that. Yeah, it's just joining it as one big line of stuff. Concatenation. You got that? Okay. How you get the length of the array, how big is the array, you use a count function. You simply do an echo, do a count, and you put the cars inside the function of count. That'll give me how many cars there are. 3. Okay, it's count of cars. What you're going to get is echo, what this returns back to you. Good, okay, this so far so good. Right, looping through the array, you use a for loop. So how I actually do a loop for an array is a little different from how I loop for a variable, okay? So it gets a bit more complicated. There's my array. I'm also going to work out the array length, which is the count of cars, R length, yeah? So what I'm doing is now a for loop. Remember for loops? Right, we did that in class together. So for x is 0, my initial condition of x is less than array length, x is less than whatever that's going to be, 3, yeah? X plus plus. Echo, $cars, here's a clever bit. Rather than writing 0 in here, it's $x. As it goes through the loop, yeah, it prints out the value of the cars inside the loop. Much more efficient if I've got, say, 1,000 cars doing it this way than me doing car number 1 is Volvo, car number 2 is Porsche, car number 3 is Ferrari, car number 4 is Skoda, number 5 is whatever. Massive list. Yeah, this is much more faster way of jumping and looping out something. Yeah. So, because I can echo this out, here's my answer. One little thing you got to be aware of here. Notice starts from 0. Then it goes, it's less than, what is that value there from condition? Less than? Yeah, which is? Work it from this. What is our length going to be? What is AR length actually going to be by looking at this calculation? Come on.
3.
Yeah, good. Now, if x is less than 3, that means that when will the condition end, Rama? When will the condition end? It's first 0. The first time it goes around the loop, 0 is less than 3, isn't it? So happy with that. And we're going to increment it by 1 next time round. Yeah? So next time we do the loop, this value here is going to be echo $cars. What's that going to be the first time around? The x value. Come on, guys. What is that going to be?
First time around, it's going to be Volvo.
Yeah. What's that actual x value going to be? What's x going to actually be the first time round I run the loop? The number in x. What is that?
The number is going to be 1.
The first time round. So I can think again. The first time round, what's it going to be? That number.
3.
No, come on. X is 0.
Yes.
So what is x going to be here the first time round? Where is that value going to be? just said it. 0.
Oh.
Why do you think it's 1?
Okay. So array start from 0.
You know why? This is a tricky bit, right? You know why? This is the exception. With a loop, if I'm saying the starting value is 0, and I'm adding plus plus, this plus plus are added after the loop, not before. Okay, this is called the post condition. Initial value, yeah? This is the condition, it's post condition. So first it runs it, then it adds the one the next time round. So you start always on 0, yeah? Then you go to 1, then you go to 2. But when it's 3, then what happens? When it's 3, it comes up here, it goes to this, then what happens? When it's 3, is that going to work? Is $x when it's 3 less than array length?
Yeah, it is.
Any more? When it's 3, is it? Yes or no? What's array length?
It's 0, 1, and 2.
Yeah. But what is array length actually going to be? Look at this. What's the count?
It's 3.
3, yeah? So when it's 2, it's less than array length, it's cool, right? But when it's 3, when this value is now 3, then what happens?
Well, it will break.
It's going to break the if statement now. The 4 will not work anymore, right? Once it's 3, it's now no longer less than anymore. It's now equal to array length. It now will stop. Okay, so the loop is now ending here. Okay, one of the reasons why this is a bit fiddly is a bit tricky is because arrays always start on 0. See this?
Yeah, that's what it goes.
That's where it's odd. You think I start on 1, no, it's all starting on 0 is the first point. It's the beginning of an array is always a 0 point. Okay, it's like in maths, you always start on 0, right? And then you draw your graph. You don't start on 1. You start from 0 and you do the graph. Okay, same thing. Now, that's a bit tricky. Now, associative arrays have this thing called key and value. Okay, they have these two things. You join things together like that. So we've got Peter is 35, Ben's 37. You've got this way of having a key instead here and a value to a key. So we've got like a vector. Peter's 35, Joe's 43. And we can do it like this. That's how we're writing keys and values. Peter is, and then the age to get out of it is that. That's how you extract 35 from this. Next thing, how do you loop through an array like this? Loop through an array like that, what you've got to remember is you've got to break it apart. You okay on this stuff, right? I hope.
I am, yeah.
For each, yeah, age is x value, echo this out. Yeah, it breaks this apart. Key is x, value is x value, and echo is br. That's actually extracting out.
Yeah.
Splitting apart.
Each part.
Sorry?
Go through the for each part.
Yeah, it splits it apart, right? So it's saying as for age as $x, just make it. It's just, you've got to remember this reason. It's just done like this, yeah. $x and x value are being created right now by splitting. It's just saying for every age, every one of these, treat it like this. That x and x value are these values. Echo out x value in this way by splitting them. It's just pulling it apart. The key and the value. So when I run this, look what happens. For each x and the age, for each one of these entries, echo the key of x and the value is x value. The key is Peter, which is x, and the value is the value here, 35. For each one of these. Okay? Yeah, go. Just get your head around that. Scott, you with me on this?
Yeah, I am. Sure.
So we need to watch this next bit because this is how to explain how task 2 is done, okay? Just concentrate on this next bit here. After this, we look at multi-arrays and after this. I'm making the array like this, yeah? And I'm splitting it apart with this for each loop. This takes apart these different values like that. Okay? Age as means to redefine. I'm just saying I would like x next value to be this and this. I can call that anything. I can call that.
So you want the x value of age to represent PR, Ben and Joe.
I want $x to represent whatever that is, and value to represent whatever that is. It could be anything. This could be, you know, Abe's brother equals Graham. Suni's sister equals whatever. I could do that, you know, and then whatever that is, make no difference. It will still echo out the same stuff. Okay. This is simply just saying I would like it to represent this stuff as these variables and echo them out this way. Okay, declaration. You're not going to use this much anyway, by the way, as it is, right? The real one you're going to need to think about is
Really is.
2D array is the next one.
Yeah.
Here we go. Ready? Right, 2D arrays. This is where it's all hang on now. So this is where I need you, Scott and Rama. On this one, right? This is what task 2, how it's approached, yeah? So multi-dimensional arrays is an array containing one or more arrays. It's got more than one array inside it, 2D. Can be 2, 3, 4, or 5 levels deep, yeah? 5 dimensions. Anyway, this level 3 is about as much as we tend to use for arrays. 2D arrays, here's an example of one. Volvo stock sold, yeah? You've got your stuff going down and stuff going across. So how do I show this into a data format like this? That's it. Yeah. Now to loop through this, okay, this is now 2D array because I've got got the level going across and I've got it going down too. To loop around this is how I do it. I can echo out it manually like that. Notice it says 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 1, 0, 1, 1. It's just going through the vector points. Like, you know, it's like a 0, like I mentioned, 0, 0 is a starting point.
Yeah.
As I go across, like if I say over here, that's 0, 0.
Yeah.
That's 0, 1, 0, 2. And I've got 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2. Yeah. 2,
2, 0,
1, 2, 2. Cool.
Then you've got 3, 0, 3, 1, 3.
That's it. That's how I get to that exact position of that cell. Yeah. Because I'm doing it that way, which is exactly right.
So the first part of the video is for
Yeah.
rows,
Mhm.
and then the second part for the colors.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it. So then if I want to now run this as code, if I had all the code together, like I had my array defined and I had this PHP as well, which is like this example, I make my array. Yeah. Hint, my program is about making a 5 by 5 array of numbers, 1 to 25. Therefore, you could approach it like that. Similarly, but just with numbers inside it. Hint, hint. Okay. And then my for loop, we get on that one. Yeah, you're cool. The for loop, okay, is going to go 0 less than 4 plus plus, and this is now doing a row number like this. It's doing an output by going rows across and column. It's simply just the only bit that's coming out of here is simply that bit here. That $cars, okay, is your array.
Why do you go less than 4 though?
Ah, why the number?
Yes.
Just because it's how big that array is, yeah.
What is
It's,
LI? What is the
oh, simply it's that bullet point. It's just a bullet, a little bullet. It's called LI is list item, yeah, and UL means unordered list. If it was an order, if it was OL, it would be numbers. 1 to, we'll give you the numbers, yeah. LI UL is unordered list. So what's happening here is row number $row is row number 0, yeah, because like I said, arrays always start on 0, not on 1. That's why we start from the 0 first. That's also why this is less than 4, not less than 5.
Yes.
Because 0, 1, 2, and 3 are 4. Yeah. That's why I've got to go 4 rows. Yeah. And also going in the columns, it's less than 3 because I've got 3 bullets here.
Yes.
0, 1, and 2 in the other direction, rows and columns.
So you're gonna have 2 for functions.
Yeah. For function and another for function inside it will create a loop inside a loop. Yeah, and that echoes this out. Okay. So, given that's the case, and you've got the array set up like this, and you've
What's
got
a P and a B stuff?
P is a paragraph tag in
Okay,
HTML, and
then
B is bold,
Okay.
and UL is the bullet, making an unordered list means the unordered list,
Yeah.
and LI, each LI statement gives you a little bullet point. Now, what I've asked you to just make it into a table. That's the difference. So the best way of doing this task is, the first approach is do it just like this, but do it from 1 to 25 as bullet points. So row number 0 will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Row number 1 will be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, like that, yeah? Like that. And then once you've got it all working in bullet points, then save as the code, make a new version of the code, and then try and make it like a table. It looks like this. Like that. Yeah, and I've given you all the hints there, folks. I really cannot do more than that. It's pretty, I made it very straightforward. Okay, I need to spend some time on this. This is a 6-credit module. Okay, so every task of 6 tasks is roughly 10 hours per task, and we can't busk it in like 5 minutes. This is like you've got to think it over and do it well. You know, if you can do a good program, you can extend it, format it well, make it look good, and maybe you can go beyond 5 by 5. You can do clever stuff with it. But what I really want to do is just to get this loop inside the loop working for a multi-dimensional array. Okay. Right, folks. I think you can crack that now. Have a go at it. So next programming lesson, you want to build this up and get this kind of like develop it further. Come with some questions, and I can help you fix. All right. Okay, folks. That's it for today.
You're gonna upload this, right?
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is it's better you put it into a student area. Once it's in there, it's done. You know? I can assume it's been done. I can see
No,
it.
I mean the video.
Oh, yeah, I'm doing it now.